Hi, and welcome to this episode of The Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have Corby Hansen on the line. Corby's a financial services representative. He deals with Medicare planning, with long-term care planning, with life insurance and annuity planning. So has a real well-rounded knowledge of all the different products and solutions out there. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks so much, Mark.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into this space. I know you work with a lot of 65 to 70-year-olds, and how did that evolve in your practice?
Yeah, so originally I started out, I was working at Morgan Stanley, and then I went over to MetLife. I actually worked with really young people, and I sold a lot of term insurance and loved the working with young families. But over time, I noticed there was a real opportunity with the baby boomers and the chance to help them, those folks in pre-retirement and post-retirement. And so I my practice to helping folks transition into retirement, get their health care taken care of, Medicare, and also a good income plan, and then a good plan for what could be the most expensive part of retirement, which would be a long-term care event.
Yeah, and I know today we're going to focus on the long-term care side. I know you've seen a lot in your years in the industry. Any kind of personal reason why long-term care you're passionate about it?
Yeah, there is. I actually, in my own life, out of my four grandparents, three of the four needed long-term care. And for their generation, that's a little bit atypical. That's not normal. My mom's dad had a stroke and died the next day. The other three had a stay of anywhere from a son or daughter coming into their home and helping for literally years, helping them get up and get dressed and have breakfast. And then also the longest one was my mom's mom, who had Alzheimer's, and her care lasted about 8 years.
Yep.
So I saw firsthand the impact on family and finances. And when I learned there was a way to cover that, I became really passionate about helping people put a plan in place.
Yeah, and I don't think you're as unique as you said, because out of my four grandparents, all four needed long-term care. So
Interesting.
I mean, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know you've also seen it, with clients as well that actually owned long-term care insurance policies. You told me a little bit about a client story. Can you tell us about that client that?
Yeah, I was out visiting someone in their home. I want to say they were in their early 60s. And I met with the gentleman, and I'm like, well, hey, I'd love to meet your wife. And he's like, well, I'd love you to meet her too, but she's asleep. And it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What's she doing asleep? And he shared with me her story. She had had a stroke, and it affected the part of her brain that he called the get up and go part of her brain. And he said for it was a couple of years at the time, she had been sleeping somewhere between 20 to 23 hours a day. 7 days a week, and she could get up, she could walk, she could feed herself, she could do everything but stay awake.
Wow.
It was quite an unusual thing. So of course, he had someone coming in doing meals, laundry, cleaning the house, doing all the things his wife used to do while he was her primary caregiver.
Wow. That really, drives it home that this takes many different forms, right? Everybody has different needs and caregiving needs. So today, I know we want to talk a little bit about some solutions, maybe for that 64 to 70-year-old marketplace, the agents out there that are working with Medicare clients, for example. And I know you in particular have some solutions that you use in the annuity space, especially when people have health impairments. Can you tell us a little bit about that strategy?
Yeah, so what's great about using annuities to help cover the exposure to what can be some large monthly bills for long-term care is most of them that I'm aware of have no medical questions. So I can take people that have serious medical conditions as long as they have some assets, and by simply moving the money over into an annuity, we can get them bonuses somewhere between 7 to 20% right up front. And a lot of times we can turn in this pile of money, easily double it on a guaranteed basis in a short period of time, and sometimes triple it for long-term care. And a lot of these contracts allow you to pull out somewhere between $3,000 to $6,000 a month when you need long-term care. And if you can wait 10 years, some of those numbers can be 5 to 10 grand a month for long. care.
Right.
So
Now, so it's an interesting marketplace. I always tell people that it's got a lot of niches. There's different products you can use. There's traditional, there's life insurance types of hybrid products, there's annuity types of hybrids, there's short-term care products, and they're really dependent on the client's needs. In this situation, you highlighted it, they may not qualify health-wise today for any of those other types of products, but you can still develop a solution, which is the foundation for a plan. And of course, that plan is really what's critical for the families, right?
yes, yeah. In fact, that's what's great about it is when I was selling long-term care like 10, 15 years ago, I ran into two problems. I couldn't afford it, they would tell me, or I couldn't qualify for it. What's the great thing about long-term care is, or a long-term care rider on an annuity is the fact that they can qualify. And the other thing I love about this kind of planning is there were a lot of folks that are like, hey, I don't want to pay these expensive premiums because I'm not going to use long-term care. You know, we tend to live in what I call the land of denial. To tell people that denial is not a river in Egypt.
Right.
And so I tell them, hey, the cool thing about using annuities with a long-term care rider is they will benefit from it, even if they have bad health, or their family will get it, or their beneficiary, or their favorite charity. So it's premiums that some would say is just money down the drain if you're one of the few lucky ones that don't need long-term care.
Absolutely. And everyone's got different preferences. As long as they see, you know, how affordable it can be and how much leverage, insurance leverage you can get from it, and what the residual value might be, for example, as long as that's all on the table for them to make an informed decision, that's what clients are really looking for out there. So really appreciate you sharing this story with us, the strategy with us, and I'm sure we're going to have you on future episodes as well to share some more ideas.
I would love to help anytime, Mark.